Get to know each of the 12 mayoral candidates with KKTV 11 News Know Before You Vote with this in-depth interview featuring Tom Strand.
I'd like to start our interview by asking what you think the mayor's primary role is.
Well, I got to work for 8 years with the current mayor, the second strong mayor of the 39th largest city in the United States. And the mayor's role as executive is to run the day-to-day operations of the city and the 12 departments that answer directly to him. Probably the 3 or 4 largest ones are the police department, the fire department, our public works department, and our parks and rec folks. And so that's his job, is to make sure that they are providing the services to about 500,000 people within our 200 square miles on a daily basis.
Speaking of, what are your thoughts of Mayor John Souther's performance? And if elected, would you keep it in the same direction or change course?
Well, I'll tell you, I think each personality is going to do things a little bit differently, but I've been involved with Mayor Souther's. I met him when he ran in 2015, and I ran for city council in one of the 3 at-large positions in 2015. I think he's done a wonderful job. He's probably got his detractors, but programs like 2C, which is going to take care of the roads and potholes and gutters and curbs. He passed the original 2C, and then 2C2, which brings in about $50 million a year to take care of our streets and roads and gutters, and then made sure that we finally complied with the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency rule concerning stormwater. So I think he's done a great job. He's probably added about 100 police officer funded positions to our CSPD, which probably today has about 750 sworn police officers. We need about 100 more. But, I think every new mayor is going to come in and look at things a little bit differently. I think I would look at land use and development a little differently than Mayor Southers has. I think I'd be more connected with the property and homeowners who might think that we got, our building and development a little too quickly for our infrastructure and our public safety capabilities.
How would you propose to stretch taxpayer dollars and still achieve your goals as mayor?
Well, it's interesting, Correll. When we started 8 years ago, most of the funding that your city gets, it comes from sales tax. Very little from property tax and use tax. Most of it is from sales tax. Our budget back in 2015 was about $280 million in the general budget. This year in 2023, it's $420 million. That's because you and other people like you, especially a lot of ladies, are buying things from Amazon and having them delivered to your homes, and they're being taxed. And so I don't think we need to raise taxes any, because I think consumers are doing that for us with their buying. People tend to, not go as much to department stores, and brick and mortar stores, and they buy online, and they seem to be doing that quite a bit. So I am not in favor of raising any taxes. We're right about 9% is our sales and use tax now. That's probably as high as we need it to go. I would like to get more funding from the LART tax, which is the lodging and rental car tax, which is probably one of the lowest in the United States. If you stay at a hotel like the Broadmoor or the Antlers, you're going to pay 1% of your bill in lodging tax. If you go to a city like Las Vegas, you're going to pay 12%. If you rent a car here, you pay 2% for rental car tax. I think those should be raised, with lodging probably about double, from 1% to 2%, and for automobiles from 2% to 4%. That money could go into a lot of development and ensuring that we bring various kinds of activities, whether they're entertainment or sports activities, to our city. But I'm not a tax and spend kind of guy. I live on a fixed income. I'm a senior, and so I'm very sensitive to all kinds of costs and expenses. I also, not only serve on city council now, but the board of directors for utilities, which is, water, wastewater, gas, and electric. And I'm very sensitive to how we set those rates. We never increase the cost of water or gas or electricity unless the fuel costs have gone up and force us to do that, since it's a municipally owned utility.
How can the mayor have an impact on homelessness in the region?
Well, I think the mayor has a real impact on homelessness. I was talking about this earlier today. I think 8 years ago, we do a point in time count in February as to what our homeless population is. I'm not sure how accurate that is. 8 years ago, it was about 2,000. The one that we did last February, I haven't seen this year's, was about 1,400. So you would think that we've done pretty well in reducing the number of homeless. The reality is, I don't think we have. I think we've got camps and wildfires that kind of pop up all over the place, especially in the cold weather. I think we've got a lot of issues with our homeless population that we still haven't tackled, like behavioral and mental health issues, substance abuse issues. Currently, the person that is sort of the coordinator for the city homeless program does not work directly for the mayor, but one of his subordinates. I would have that person work directly for me, and I would be involved, on a weekly basis with updates of what we're doing to help people that don't have roofs over their heads. And whether it's because they've got substance abuse problems or mental health problems, or they may just be families that have been forced out of their homes because of medical needs or other emergencies in their family, we need to take care of them, and we need to do a better job. I know a lot of our citizens get frustrated when they drive around the city and they see homeless camps under bridges and along railroad tracks and along our streams and waterways. It needs a lot of work, and it would be a high priority for me going forward if I were elected mayor.
What can the next elected mayor do to help with the affordable housing crisis?
Another issue that seems to come up at all the forums that we meet, affordable housing. I bought my house in Old Colorado City about 15 years ago. And of course, that's, quite a bit of time, but, it has doubled in value. And it is now to the point where I couldn't afford my own house if I was starting from the beginning. We've had increases in interest rates for mortgages. And it's not, affordable housing isn't just single family or duplexes, it's also apartments. These rates have gone up exponentially, I think, in the last 5 to 7 years. I think what the city can do is we can get involved with more grants. We can do more incentives for builders and developers to build what I consider smaller homes. Some people call them tiny homes. But I think people need to have the security and comfort of a place that, they can live, whether it's an apartment, in a multi-unit complex, or whether it's a duplex or a single family home. I think we can assist with grants through the state and federal government. We do have a department in the city that works with providing affordable homes. We also use the term attainable. I'm not sure I really understand the difference. I mean, if you can attain a home, can you afford a home? It used to be that 1/3 of your income that you were making was what they recommended for either your rent payment, your mortgage payment, and your utilities payment. People now are paying 50% of what they're earning in order to pay for their housing costs and their utilities. So, it is another area that we can't take our eyes off of and has to be on the screen every day for what we're doing. Mayor Suthers has set a goal of about 2,000 affordable homes a year that we would add to the inventory. We need double that. And it is an area that I think the mayor has got to work with city council and even, regionally with other communities and the county commission to make happen. We also have a lot of nonprofits and organizations like United Way that work with people to make sure we can find homes. But I worry about couples that may be in their 20s and 30s that are making $40,000 or $50,000 a year, and they can't afford to live here. And we've got to find a way to retain them so that we keep that lifeblood of our city going forward.
How should Colorado Springs handle city growth given the water constraints in the West?
I've had meetings. I mentioned I'm on the board of directors for utilities. We're looking now at creating, we've got an ordinance that we're going to deal with next Tuesday that indicates that we have to have a certain surplus of water to make sure that we don't run out. And it's like anything else. People that have already moved here, that are already settled in, they don't want to see the growth sort of outstrip the ability for water. I think water in our community, we've gone through droughts. We are a Western state. and it's like gold. So we've got to protect it. We're looking at putting together a team with the county and with other experts in the region to see what we can do to partner and hold hands to ensure that we really understand what the requirements are, how we can get through, more difficult times where we don't have the rainfall or the snow melt, which usually occurs in April and May. I think we do need a new ordinance. Currently, the one we have is too vague, and we need that to kind of have a standard so that we can move from there. We've got to be sensitive, though, that the ordinance doesn't affect building development, annexations of other properties, because the annexations are going to provide housing, which is going to provide affordable housing. And so, we've got to figure out how to consolidate the need and the sensitivity for water with the ability to have people build and develop homes.
Finally, Tom, why should voters cast their ballot for you?
Corral, that's a great question. I started my Air Force career here a long time ago at Peterson Field. I've been retired now for about 17 years from the active duty Air Force after a 30-year career. I've been on the school board for District 11. When I was there, about 8 years ago or 9 years ago, it was the largest school district on the Front Range with 32,000 students. I think it's dropped back a little bit now. In my 8 years on city council, I've had every single leadership position. I've been the chair and the vice chair of our public and municipally owned utilities. I've been the president pro tem, which is kind of like the number 2 in city council. And now for the last 4 years, or last 2 years, I've been president of city council. I've got the experience. I know all the, the folks, whether they're with the regional building department or the housing organizations in the city, our bankers, our developers. And so I think I'm in the position to move forward very quickly should I be elected in April or in a runoff election in May or June, to step right into that job and to do, I think, a job where every day I try and make our citizens' lives better and more enjoyable.
Tom Strand, mayoral candidate for the city of Colorado Springs. Again, we thank you for taking the time to join us in our 11 Breaking News Center, and we wish you all the best coming up this election season.
Thank you, Corral. I appreciate the opportunity.